HRT, for the most part, isn't going to involve nutrition and dietary strategies, and it rarely will involve digestive support or liver health. This is why so many folks don't benefit from HRT, and this is why hormone replacement therapy, by the way, has been associated with toxicity, autoimmune diseases, blood clots, even cancer. According to the Women's Health Initiative, which was a 15-year study that followed 160,000 plus postmenopausal women who took combination therapy, estrogen and progestin, had increased risks of heart disease. On the other hand, the ketogenic diet may be helpful in reducing all of the symptoms of menopause, every last one of them, as particularly the brain ones. Anxiety, jitteriness, irritability, sleep disturbances, not to mention cardiovascular health issues. The ketogenic diet is important for all these systems, and all of these systems are also where we end up with problems in menopause. And then calming hormones as well, progesterone. In my opinion, progesterone should be the first hormone replacement therapy hormone to consider. It should be the first prescription you get. If you're going to do hormone replacement therapy, try progesterone first. It's much more mild than estrogen. It's got calming benefits. It's important for the brain. The body concentrates it in the brain. It can help with migraine headaches. It can help with the emotional ups and downs of menopause and andropause. It can be beneficial for folks dealing with seizure disorders, as we said yesterday, bone health, libido. It can help improve building a muscle. It's like a second type of testosterone. It has a lot of similarities to testosterone. It can improve sleep. And because sleep and testosterone are connected, for guys dealing with andropause, make sure you're getting enough rest. The more quality of your sleep, the more testosterone you're going to make. Of course, if you're subsisting on the standard American diet, which is 60% or 70% processed food and sugar, that's not going to happen. As we get older, we start to make more cortisol anyway, more stress hormone anyway, just from being alive, which is such a stressful thing for most of us. But if you throw in the standard American diet, which is a cortisol diet, basically, a high cortisol diet, now you're going to be dealing with more breakdown, more slowdown in muscle growth, problems with bone building and repair. All of this is from sleep, lack of sleep. Lack of sleep decreases our ability to build, decreases our testosterone, the downward spiral of aging and frailty and ultimately of disease can then show up. All of this can be broken by getting enough sleep, by using progesterone, by eating less food, by intermittent fasting, by strength training, flexibility training, and of course the modified ketogenic diet. High fat, low carb, and moderate protein. Progesterone is extremely important for the brain, for mental health. It's concentrated in the brain up to 20 times from the blood. It can help with brain injury, speed the healing of brain tissue after it's injured. It's an anti-anxiety hormone. It's a natural Prozac. Progesterone is a natural Prozac. It works with serotonin in the brain. It helps improve our ability to deal with the ups and downs of life, of day-to-day life, which is what serotonin does. All right, so much more to talk about. We'll take your phone calls when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. 844-236-6010 is our number, 6010. 844-236-6010. We'll be back after this. Okay, welcome back to The Bright Side. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for being here. We're on the air Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 Pacific, 10 to 11 Central Time, and 24/7 on our archive pages at brightsideben.com. 844-236-6010 is our number on The Bright Side. And we'll get your calls here in just a second, so hang on. This is from the journal. This is from the annual conference of the British Psychological Society. Guess what? Bored people reach for potato chips. That's the conclusion of a study of 52 participants from England. No reason to think it's not the same here. Why? Because fatty and sugary foods hype up the brain, make the brain happy. Dopamine, our reward center, is activated by fatty and sugary foods. So what do? Well, you eat good fats and you eat good sugar. That's where vegetables come in. You can release the sugars from veggies by braising them, by heating them, by steaming them somehow, and then use lots of yummy butter and coconut oil, and don't forget your salt. So if you're bored and you want to hype up your brain a little bit and get that dopamine going, use Brussels sprouts or broccoli and butter and lots of salt. This one here from the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease, almost half of Alzheimer's cases are due to insulin, hyperinsulin, I should say. This is the blood sugar connection, once again demonstrating that if you want to do one thing to stay healthy, to keep your brain healthy, to reduce or slow down the aging process and the symptoms of accelerated aging, including dementia, including cognitive difficulties, reduce your intake of the sugars, eat more veggies, go ketogenic, eat more protein, particularly branched chain amino acid rich protein like whey protein and egg protein and animal protein, and sorry to my vegetarian friends. If you're a vegetarian and you want to up your intake of branched chain amino acids for improving satisfaction and reducing sugar intake, use beans and soy particularly, and also mushrooms, which are a source of some of these branched chain amino acids. Mushrooms are really interesting when it comes to protein foods. Mushrooms are like a cross between an animal food and a vegetable food. So you get a lot of the benefits of animal foods by eating mushrooms, including, by the way, vitamin D. So vegetarians might want to consider using mushrooms or eating lots of mushrooms, enjoying mushrooms. If you're a vegetarian, you got to be very, very careful with what you eat and your nutritional intake. Not that it can't be done. 844-236-6010 is our number. Carl, the Truth Raider, what's going on, man? Welcome to the bright side.
Good morning, Ben. Hey, is it the truth that you named your Truth Treatment products after the Truth Raider himself?
No, that's not true, but I would have if I knew you then. I probably would have.
Yeah, I think you were pulling my leg about that.
Oh, did I tell you that?
When we first coming up with it. I said, no.
Oh, I told you that? Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I think I might have been pulling your leg.
Well, after all these years, it sounds consistent with...
okay, you know what? I will honorarily name it after you, Truth Raider.
Thanks, Ben.
What's going on?
This difficulty I'm having in my left tonsil, I've discovered inside the back and the adenoid in the lower part in there in the pocket, there is a white little spot of pus back in there.
That's not good. Here's the deal. Your tonsils are part of your lymph. Your lymph is your waste management system, waste elimination system. It's the sewage pipes of the body. Right. Interestingly, in addition to being the sewage pipes, it also transports nutrition. So when the lymph gets clogged up, not only are you going to be running a risk for increased problems with your immune system because you're not going to be able to clear poisons out as effectively, you're also going to run nutritionally deficient, particularly in fatty vitamins, which are important for the immune system. So it's really important that you move the lymph around. Two things to do if you're dealing with tonsils issues or any kind of lymphatic congestion, lymphedema, any kind of lymph issues, and most of us are as we age. Move your body. Get on a rebounder. Hang upside down on an inversion device. Take walks. Get on a treadmill. Run. Exercise. Breathe deeply. Breathing pushes lymphatic fluid, so deep breathing. Anything you could do to move the body, including deep breathing, moving the muscles in and out, is anything you do to move the muscles, I should say, is very important for helping improve circulation of lymph. The second thing is controlling any toxins that get into the system. The lymph becomes congested primarily from digestive toxins. No surprise there. There's a big opening from the intestine right into the lymph. And so when we eat foods that are causing immune activity at the intestinal level, things like gluten or other plant defense molecules, lectins, lectins, or homogenized milk, any kind of small fat particles, these all get dumped into the lymph and they can exacerbate lymphatic congestion. So in addition to moving the lymph, you got to stop the toxicity from getting into the lymph. I'd be fasting if I were you, Carl, and I'd also be using the Suero V cleanse, and I'd be very, very vigilant, extremely vigilant to any foods that cause digestive distress, and of course eliminating them. This is exactly the same stuff that we talk about every single day here on the bright side. And in fact, one of the main reasons why our bodies break down, one of the main reasons why we get cancer and why we get heart disease and why we get autoimmune disease is because of the lymph, because the lymph is clogged up. So all the strategies that we talk about here, from the ketogenic diet to reducing food intake and intermittent fasting, all of these are lymphatic cleansing strategies. So go back to the archives. I know you've been listening a lot, so you know all the things to do, Carl, the Truth Raider, but I'm glad you brought it up anyway. I appreciate it. I'm going to motivate here, Carl. Anything else you want to add?
No, it first started out with a piece of food, I think, that was stuck.
It's not a piece of food that's stuck. No, it's not a piece of food that's stuck. That doesn't happen. The food doesn't get stuck in the lymph, but particles can activate an immune response, which then can create clogging. That can happen. Okay. And again, that's all the digestive strategies. Don't forget the probiotics and the fermented food. They're very important for the lymph as well. Okay, Carl, have a great day, man. Talk to you later, buddy. Okay, bye-bye. All right, let's see. Dave in Connecticut. What's going on, man? Welcome to the bright side.
How you doing, Ben?
Hey, good morning.
2 quick questions. I'll go really quickly here. One is about an additive that's inside a lot of the longevity products that some people are just asking me questions about.
Sure, what is it?
Maltodextrin.
Okay.
And then the other question is about the ketogenic diet. They say that you cannot reach ketosis unless you're under 5 grams of carbs per day. I don't know about that.
Where did you hear that? That's not true. That's absolutely not true.
Like the huge ketogenic guy, I was just reading.
That's not true. The ketosis occurs on a continuum. Now, you do need to reach he's right about a threshold. There's like a certain point where you have to be at in order for it to kick in. But 5 grams doesn't really mean anything because it depends on what you're, on how much the other foods you're eating. Depends on the amount of fiber that you're getting, for example. It depends on other things. So you don't want to necessarily go by the flat amount. And everybody's going to be different anyway. I'm surprised is he an MD?
He is actually.
Yeah, well, that sounds like something an MD would say. Not everybody's the same. You can't just say 5 grams for everybody. It also depends on the other foods you're eating, the amount of fats that you're eating. And ketosis occurs on a continuum. So some people are going to get more or less. I'm not buying that. As far as maltodextrin goes, maltodextrin is a type of carbohydrate, basically. It is it's derived from various vegetables. It is used in food, in powders mostly, as a thickener. So it creates body. One of the reasons why we like drinks is because of the texture of the drink, or don't like drinks is because of the texture of the drink. It turns out that by thickening a drink just slightly, it becomes more palatable, and that's the purpose of the maltodextrin. Maltodextrin is easily digestible, and it is absorbed as sugar. It doesn't really have a sweet, it doesn't really have a flavor, very much of a flavor. But there's such a tiny amount, it's really not going to affect your blood sugar at all. It's basically inert, and it's used in there to improve the way, they call it mouthfeel, the way a liquid drink tastes and feels on the mouth, make it more palatable. But it's not, it's really basically inert. Why don't you hang on, Dave? We'll take a break, and we'll let you finish up when we come back. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back right after this. 844-236-6010 is our number. We'll be back right after this. Okay, we're back on The Bright Side. 844-236-6010 is our number. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We're talking to Dave in Connecticut. David, you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so maltodextrin is nothing more than a starch. It's a long chain of sugars, of glucose, just glucose, just strung together. It has a small amount of calories, but it's negligible in the amounts that are in the products. It's basically used as a thickener in those products. It doesn't have much of a flavor or much sweetener. And when I say thickener, I don't mean a heavy thickener, but just to give liquids a slight amount of body, or as they say in the food business, mouth feel, to make them more palatable. It really doesn't do much at all except for that. Does that answer your question? There's no tox. No, zero. It's glucose. I mean, it's just glucose. It's just a long chain of glucose molecules. Gotcha. Did you hear it was toxic from anybody?
Well, yeah, somebody said that they read an article and that they said it's really bad for the body and this and that. I read the article.
Just go to chemistry. It's glucose. As bad for you as glucose, except it's strung together, so it's not straight sugar, although your body can break it. There's a type of maltodextrin called resistant maltodextrin that just acts like a fiber that doesn't even get used by the body. But most maltodextrin is broken up into glucose, and you get small amounts of it, but it's negligible because there's like a speck of it in most products.
Good.
In most longevity products, I should say. Okay, good deal. Thanks, Dave. All right, man. Take care. Okay, let's go to Brenda in Texas. Welcome to The Bright Side, Brenda.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. What's going on?
I was just wanting to talk some more about the estrogen and the progesterone and all that. I've listened a couple of days, and I wondered if you had heard of the BioT natural pellets.
BioT? Is that what you said? B-I-O-T?
B-I-O-T-E.
B-I-O-T-E, natural pellets. Now, the T I would assume is the testosterone. You get it from a doctor, right?
Yes. And
okay.
I get them there in Colorado from a doctor.
Where in Colorado do you go?
Well, in either Colorado Springs or there in Denver.
Oh, nice.
I come up from Texas and do that.
They don't have anything in Texas?
Well, they They do. Well, it first started in Houston and Dallas area and all that. They've had them there for several years, but we're up in Amarillo, so
okay.